everybody, today I'm here to do a series review for you. So sometimes I do singular book reviews, sometimes I do mashup book reviews, and sometimes I do a whole series review. Today I am reviewing the Monsters of Verity duology. So yes, it is a series, but it's only 2 books. I have done a review on this Savage song, so if you want to see that, I'll link it up here as well as down below. However, this Dark Duet, the sequel to the Savage song, just released and I just read it, so I thought I would film a review on both of them, just letting you know my thoughts on both of these books as well as duology as a whole. So that is what we are doing today. So I will let you know when I start spoiling. I will definitely spoil this duology, especially when I get to start talking about this book, but I will talk briefly about my opinions and feelings on this book without spoiling it. Then I'll go into spoilers. So basically what I'm saying is I will let you know when I do spoil this series. Basically what I'm going to tell you is what this series is about, what I thought about it, which book was my favorite, as well as my ratings, and if I would recommend it to you or not. So let's get into it, shall we? So like I said, this series has 2 books in it, which makes it a duology. The first book is the Savage Song, and then the second book is our Dark Duet, and combined they are called the Monsters of Verity duology. So the first book is obviously the Savage Song, and we have 2 main characters. We have August, and we also have Kate, and it takes place in this city called Verity. Verity is a monster-ridden city, as well as like pretty much the whole world. So in this city in particular, because we are following in Verity, there are monsters, and more specifically, there are 3 types of monsters that really inhabit this city and really kind of almost control it. We have 2 sides of the city that are kind of at war. We have the side which Kate Harker is from and which her dad kind of controls. Her dad really controls the one half of the city, and he's kind of like the big boss, where he is human, but he kind of has monsters like on his payroll almost. Like you can pay a good price if you are a human to like be safe by Kate's dad, Mr. Harker. And so a lot of people pay this money to really be safe from the monsters that are in his side of town. And if you don't pay, well, you're the monster's food then. Or if you don't pay, then you're up for grabs at any time for these monsters. And then we have the other side, which August is from. And that side really is a lot of like soldier ridden. Like they really try to control the monsters and really try to keep everybody safe. Like you don't have to pay a price to live in that city to be safe. We have that going on. We have this kind of city at war where we have like kind of the north and south side. You know, we have the kind of like guy that has monsters on his call and like he's really evil and he's not a monster at all. Then we have the other side where it's kind of like a soldier army thing where they're really trying to keep everybody safe. And within that we have these 2 main characters, like I said, Kate and August. So Kate is a human and she wants to be like her dad. Her dad is ruthless. Her dad is kind of like a monster, honestly. She wants to really, you know, be bad and really control monsters, and she really wants to like be vicious. And then we have August, on the other hand, who's completely different. Only August is actually himself a monster. There are 3 types of monsters in this series that are really like focused. So we have the core size, who are like kind of tooth and claw. Like each of them have their own different things. They will like eat you raw. Like they will eat your body and things like that. They just want like your body. And then you have the Malachis, who are kind of, to me, they're kind of like vampires, I would say, and they just want your blood. And then we have Sunais, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, and they are really focused on your soul. Like they will like use an instrument or their voice or some of that nature, or they can even use none of that, and they could bring your soul to surface and they can steal your soul, taking your life. August is actually a Sunai, so he carries around a violin and he will collect souls, only this time, you know, like I said, he lives on the kind of army side where his dad, or where his adopted dad, Henry, is kind of like the leader of this army, and you know, he really makes August go out to collect like the sinners and the bad people and reap their souls. So August wants to be a human desperately. He doesn't want to go dark, because you can go dark as a monster and kind of lose yourself and go to your true form, which is, you know, kind of crazy. So August desperately wants to be human, while Kate kind of wants to be a monster. So we have these 2 characters that are completely different, and somehow they get thrown together. So Kate eventually makes her way back to Verity, because she's been away from Verity for so long because her dad sent her away, and she makes her way back and she starts going to school, and August's adoptive dad catches wind of this and he starts to think something's up. So he sends August, his son, the main character, to school to kind of watch Kate, and of course they start talking and they learn more about each other. She learns that he's a monster and he learns who she is, and it's just an interesting book. I will say I did not love this book as much as I wanted to. I found the pacing to be incredibly slow. It took me a good 100 pages to really get into it. But that way with a lot of fantasy books, you have to do a lot of build-up. You have to, you know, build your foundation to really get the plot going. And I felt like that definitely suffered from this because you have to learn about all these monsters in the city and how the cities are torn and how Kate and August came to be and how they came to be the city. And so I did feel like I said, the pacing was slow because of that. But when it picked up, it picked up. But I will say I just didn't love this book as much as I wanted to. A lot of people loved this book. Like, everyone last year was talking about it, and I was kind of on the fence where I liked it, but I just didn't love it. I wanted to love it because I do love Victoria Schwab's writing, especially her writing as V.E. Schwab. I just eat her books up, and I didn't want this one to be the exception, you know, of that I didn't like it, but it kind of was. Like, I just liked it. I didn't love it, so I gave it a 4 out of 5, which shows I did enjoy it, but it just felt slow to me. But the second half definitely picked up. But basically, what this whole series, if you're interested in this series, it's about monsters and kind of versus right versus wrong, and you know, the city battling for the darkness that is these monsters bring. And you learn more about particular monsters and how they come to be. And the thing in this book is, like, if there's a ton of violence, or if like a person commits a ton of violence, like a monster will be bred from that, which is kind of how all these monsters came to be, is from this violence. So Kate's dad, I want to say, has like his own monster that kind of like bred from him almost because of the violence that her dad committed. And Malachi, and his name is Sloan, and he's very, very vicious and things like that, and he's almost like Kate's dad's shadow, kind of like his monster. I hope I'm right on that. Like, I feel like I am. Who knows with me? I think that, like, you know, that the violence just breeds these monsters. Like, it makes them, it comes up to them. So definitely a gritty series. Do not go into this book thinking you're gonna get a ton of humor, a ton of lightheartedness, like a good, you know, kick butt fun fantasy. It is not that series. It's a dark, gritty series that really explores monsters and how they come to be, and how violence kind of breeds monsters, and like right versus wrong and human versus monster. Also to note, this series really does not have any romance in it. So I'm sure if you read a lot of YA is really saturated with romance. I really have no problems with, but every now and then I kind of want to read a series or a book that really doesn't focus on the romance really at all. And if you're interested in like a no romance book or no romance series, definitely pick up this series. This Savage Song does not have like any romance in it at all. Our Dark Duet has a tiny bit. So if you're looking for YA books that don't have any romance in them, this is a perfect series for you. Let's talk about the main characters. So we have Kate and August. I think both are dynamic characters. I like them both in this Savage Song, but I feel like the second book really brought them to life and really like formed them, in my opinion. It's basically what the Savage Song is all about. So if you're interested in this series, I'm just gonna say, like, monsters, right versus wrong, dark, gritty, no romance. Those are the key words for you in case you're interested in this series. So like I said, I wasn't in love with this Savage Song, so I was very apprehensive to read Our Dark Duet because I was just kind of like hoping, I was honestly thinking this is probably going to put me in a slump because it is a little bit bigger than the Savage Song, so I thought it's going to put me in a slump. It's not going to be that great, but I was glad to be proved wrong. I loved this book. I much prefer the second book over the first book in this series. Like, I wanted more after I finished this. And I will say, that is an unpopular opinion. If you go on Goodreads, a lot of people don't have the same feelings as I do. A lot of people thought this was a kind of finale. They didn't really feel like much of it. They wanted more from it. And I definitely have the unpopular opinion because I loved it very, very much. I thought it was a great conclusion. I thought it wrapped up nicely. I thought everything was handled great. I felt the pacing to be a lot better because since it's a sequel, you don't have to do much explanation or much, like, you know, foundation work to get into the series because you already know the basis of it, so you can get right to the plot. And I felt our characters really progressed a lot. They also struggle with darkness a lot more in this book, and I also like the ending, as heartbreaking as it is. I just really love this book, and like I said, it's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people weren't a fan of Our Dark Duet, and I'm the one person that's like, I really like it. Well, basically my thoughts on Our Dark Duet without spoiling it is I thought the pacing was better. I thought it moved faster. faster. There was never a time where I was bored with it. I love the darkness in which a particular character really struggled with, and we really had to watch them progress with that. I really loved the finale and how sad it was. As sad as it was, I enjoyed it. It felt like it tied with the series perfectly. Like I said, it's a dark, gritty series, so you can expect certain things. So I just really loved this particular book, and I'm surprised that I loved it as much as I did because I wasn't expecting to. So I gave this book a 5 out of 5. Like, I loved every piece of it, and like I said, I'm just surprised about it. So now I'm gonna wrap up my series talk, and I'll let you know when I spoil, because I do want to talk briefly about the finale of this book with spoilers. So if you're interested in this duology, I say give it a go. What's great about duologies is the fact that they're 2 books. They're 2 books and you're done. I can understand the appeal of standalones because they're standalones and you get a full arc with that standalone, but sometimes you kind of want more. That is perfect for the duology because you get 2 books and they're done, and you don't have to worry about a trilogy. You know, sometimes with trilogies, you could love the first and second book, then the third book could really leave you hanging, or you could love the third book and really not like the first 2, and it's just a little bit more also to read. So I find duologies great just because with 2 books, you get a complete story arc. They're quick and they're easier and they're faster to get through. If you're interested in a dark, gritty duology about monsters and right versus wrong and how monsters come to be and the fight for them, I would highly recommend this series. Like I said, I overall really enjoyed it. Got the unpopular opinion where I didn't love the first book as much, but I love the second book. A lot of people really love the first book and didn't like the second book. Either way, I'd recommend it. I think one of these books you're just gonna love, either it be the first or the second one. It's a solid series, and I just really am happy to have read it. So if you've read this series, let me know your thoughts and opinions. And basically now I'm gonna say, if you haven't read Our Dark Duet, please leave because I don't want to spoil it for you. And yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit briefly about it, not too much. I just want to mainly talk about the ending and how I felt about it. So if you have read this book, you have to go now, but thanks for watching up until this point. So spoilers. The main thing I wanted to talk about is Kate dying. I kind of knew that one of them was gonna die. It's a dark, gritty series. Somebody important has to go, and there have been important people to go, like August's brother Leo, as well as Kate's dad had died, and we also thought Henry was going to die at some point. Well, he actually will because he is sick, but I knew somebody really important was going to die, and it was Kate, and I loved the way she went out. She went out battling her own monster, her shadow, and she was like, you know, both of us are gonna have to die, and she just took one. She sacrificed herself almost, and she was just awesome. I love Kate's story arc. I wasn't a huge fan of her in the Savage Song because I thought she was just wanting to be too tough all the time, and I really felt that we saw a complete story arc with Kate, and I really loved her arc at that. I loved that. I just loved her arc. Am I sad she died? Yes, of course. I thought she was an amazing character, but I felt like it was good. I felt like it was in tune with the series. I felt like I said, somebody important had to go, and I'm sad that it was Kate, but I can understand why. It really just encompasses everything. I also really loved watching August struggle with his darkness, his monster in this book. You know, in the first book, August is just very wanting to be a human all the time. In this book, he really embraces his monster self and, you know, kind of pushes the human fact of him away. And he really struggles with, like, Leo's voice inside of his head constantly, and struggling with wanting to be a monster and, you know, trying to push away his human side. And I just also loved his story arc. So both Kate and August's story arc were amazing. I am sad at the kind of fact they got together for a little bit, but the romance was not like a huge part of this book at all. Like, I was like, oh crap, they're gonna fall in love, but they didn't really happen because of Kate, unfortunately. But I don't know, it's not like a bad thing about this book at all. I just wish it wasn't even written in there, if I'm honest with you. But either way, I loved every bit of this book. If you read this book, let me know your thoughts and opinions on Kate dying. Do you feel like that was right or wrong, or you felt like it should have happened or not? And just let me know your thoughts of this conclusion. Am I alone in loving this book, or is other people out there that really love this book as much as I do? So let me know, please. If you didn't like it, also let me know. Tell me why. Let's have an awesome chat about it. Basically, there you have it, my long spiel and talk about this duology, and I am so happy I've read it. It's one of my favorite duologies I've ever read, and I'm just sad it's over, but I'm excited to read more from Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. This is my second series of hers that I read to completion, and I have loved both of them, and I just love her writing style so much. And yeah, if you've read this series, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe to see more bookish videos from me every single week. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.